Coming up on 5 Minute News. Texas abortion law sparks hundreds of protests against state restrictions. As redistricting work begins, Democrats' prospects look better. And cleanup crews working to limit damage from California oil spill. It's Monday, October 4. I'm Anthony Davis. Thousands of women marched on Saturday on the Supreme Court, the Texas capital, and cities across the United States to protest increasing state restrictions on abortion and advocate for maintaining a constitutional right to the procedure. The 660 demonstrations around the United States were largely sparked by a Texas law that bans abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. The measure, which went into effect last month, is the most restrictive in the country. In the Texas capital of Austin, hundreds gathered in sweltering heat to denounce the so-called heartbeat law signed by Governor Greg Abbott. It bans abortion after cardiac activity is detected in the embryo, usually around 6 weeks. That is before most women know they are pregnant, and earlier than 85 to 90% of all abortions are carried out, experts say. The law relies on ordinary citizens to enforce the ban, which makes no exceptions for rape or incest, rewarding them at least $10,000 if they successfully sue anyone who helped provide an illegal abortion. Some of the demonstrators said the law would backfire on legislators. Washington protesters marched to the U.S. Supreme Court 2 days before the court reconvenes for a session in which the justices will consider a Mississippi case that could enable them to overturn abortion rights established in the landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade case. If the court overturns the precedent, abortion access would no longer be protected by the Constitution, leaving states free to ban it, limit it, or allow it without restrictions. When Republican-controlled states such as Texas and Florida gained U.S. House of Representatives seats thanks to 2020 census data showing their populations are booming, it appeared Democrats were in for another bleak redistricting cycle. But the census also found that most of the nation's growth is in urban areas and among minorities, coupled with the shift of suburban white voters toward Democrats during the presidency of Republican Donald Trump. The party's prospects for the next decade are looking less dire. Proposals for new congressional maps in Republican-controlled states such as Texas, Indiana, and Georgia do not aggressively target Democratic incumbents and instead seek mostly to protect vulnerable Republicans whose suburban districts have become political battlegrounds. Meanwhile, Democrats are poised to push through their own maps in states such as New York and Illinois, where urban growth and rural decline offer a chance to eliminate Republican districts. Gains there could help countermand Republican advantages elsewhere. In most states, the power to redraw congressional district maps after the decennial U.S. Census lies with the legislature, and lawmakers often attempt to manipulate maps to benefit their own party in a practice known as gerrymandering. The stakes are high. Republicans only need to pick up 5 seats in 2022 elections to retake the House, which would give them effective veto power over Joe Biden's legislative agenda. Republicans currently control the redistricting of 187 congressional seats, compared with only 75 for Democrats. The remaining 173 seats are in states that have single districts, bipartisan control, or independent redistricting commissions. Cleanup crews on the water and on shore worked feverishly on Sunday to limit environmental damage from one of the largest oil spills in recent California history, caused by a suspected leak in an underwater pipeline that fouled the sands of famed Huntington Beach and could keep the beaches there closed for weeks or longer. Booms were deployed on the ocean's surface to try to contain the oil, while divers sought to determine where and why the leak occurred. On land, there was a race to find animals harmed by the oil and to keep the spill from harming any more sensitive marshland. An estimated 126,000 gallons of heavy crude leaked into the waters off Orange County starting late Friday or early Saturday, when boaters began reporting a sheen in the water. The pipeline and operations at 3 offshore platforms owned by Houston-based Amplify Energy were shut down on Saturday night, according to the CEO, Martin Wilshire. He said the 17.5-mile pipeline that is 80 to 100 feet below the surface was suctioned out so no more oil would spill, as the location of the leak was being investigated. Huntington Beach Mayor Kim Carr said the beaches of the community nicknamed Surf City could remain closed for several weeks or even months. The oil created a miles-wide sheen in the ocean and washed ashore in sticky black globules. The leaking pipeline connects to an oil production platform named Ellie, which in turn is connected by a walkway to a drilling platform named Ellen. Those 2 platforms and another nearby platform are in federal waters. You can subscribe to 5-Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5-Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5-Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.